So what is this part about? The theory that people came to the Americas by boats is based on what? The good navigation skills of Polynesians. Polynesians moved east from New Guinea and Solomon Islands and crossed the Pacific and went as far east as Easter Island and as far north as Hawaiian Islands and as far south as New Zealand. And some people think that they could have made it to North or South America. There is possibility for this, but the evidence is not much. The Pacific Islands were reached during the last 2 or 3 thousand years, but the evidence of humans in the Americas go back to at least 10,000 years. And what else? No such evidence as there's no evidence such as pottery, spear points, or anything like that, that connect the Americas and with Polynesia. Do you understand? And there's one other theory which is people sailed to the Americas by following the northern Siberia coastline, passing the Aleutian Islands of Alaska and going down to British Columbia. So that means what? Northern Siberia coastline here, right? Here. And then going where? Aleutian Islands. Aleutian Islands are the islands, about 150 volcanic islands that stretches southwestwards from Alaska Peninsula. So these are the ones. You see that? These Aleutian Islands. And it stretches southwestward from the Alaska Peninsula. Do you understand? So people what? Follow the north coast of Siberia and then followed the Aleutian Islands, sailed this way, and then going down to British Columbia, which is in Canada. Okay, here, like here. So they sailed that along these areas. That means this is like the combining of the two previous theories. Okay, two former theories. Promising is seeming possible. No, seeming successful. All right. Coastline is the outline of the coast. Coast is the area of land besides the sea. And this theory is being studied by archaeologists. Investigate means to find out what happened. Archaeologists are the people who studies archaeology. Archaeology is the study of the past societies and people by examining the remains of their tools or buildings. Okay? Alright. There's one important obstacle. Sea levels are higher today than they were in the past. And that means many places that were possibly populated by humans are now underwater, which makes the investigation very hard. Potential means having the possibility to become something, all right? Settlement is a place where people go and stay and build homes, go and decide to stay, all right? Site is the place where something happens. Excavation is removing the earth and discovering, looking for the bones or tools of the past, all right? But there's increasing evidence that people succeeded to travel south along the coast. Nevertheless, is when you want to say something that contrasts what you have just said, it's like but. Mounting means going up, increasing. Manage to means to succeed to do something. Whether they first crossed the land bridge or sailed the ocean is not known. But for now, the land bridge theory is the more logical one of how people began to live in the Americas. For the time being means now, and for the near future. Alright, so what is this part about? Another likely theory is that people sailed following the North Siberian coastline, passing the Aleutian Islands of Alaska and going down to British Columbia. This theory is being studied by archaeologists, but there's one important obstacle for this. Sea levels are higher today than in the past, and that means many possible human settlements are now underwater, which makes the investigation very difficult. But there's a lot of evidence that people somehow traveled along the coast. Whether people came first by crossing the land bridge or sailing the ocean is not known, but for now the land bridge theory is the more likely one. Do you understand? Okay, let's go to the questions. According to paragraph 1, which of the following is true? Early humans migrated first to the continent of Africa. This is not right, right? Africa is where it began, where they began, place to migrate to. Migrating to some continents was easier than to others. This is right, because relatively moving to Europe or Asia was easier because they were connected. But in America's case, this is different. It's different because it was not connected with the other continents. All right, so B would be the answer. All the continents are interconnected, so migrating was relatively simple. No, right? They were not all interconnected. The last place to which early humans migrated was Europe. No, right? Where? America, because it's the only continent that is separated by sea. Hold on. The word it in the passage is what? The land bridge theory is more reasonable of the two, and there's a lot of evidence to support it. Support what? The land bridge theory. This is very easy. So what? A is the answer. Paragraph 3. Why does the author mention Easter Island? This was what? The Polynesians moved east from New Guinea, Solomon Islands, and crossed the Pacific Ocean and reached as far east as Easter Island, as far north as Hawaiian Islands, as far south as New Zealand. So why did the author, mention Easter Island? To stress its nearness to Chile, showing how impressive the Polynesian sailors were. Stress means what? To emphasize, to say that something is particularly true. So that means Easter Island is near Chile, and the fact that the Polynesians went that far is very impressive. This could be an answer, right? So let's read more. To give the name of the most famous islands discovered by the Polynesians. It's not to give the name of the most famous islands that the Polynesians discovered, so B is not the answer. To note the easternmost extent of the migration of by Pacific Polynesian islanders. This is right? It mentioned Easter Island to mention the farthest east part that they went to. So C is the answer. It's better than A, right? It's not just to say that the distance they have covered is impressive, but to say that it's the farthest east part. So C would be a better answer than A. So you can choose C. To compare its location in the Pacific with that of New Zealand and Chile. The author didn't mention Easter Island to compare the location with New Zealand and Chile. No. So C is the answer. Which of the sentences below best expresses the highlighted sentence? What is the highlighted sentence? Sea levels are higher today than they were in the past. So what is it saying? Sea levels are higher today, and this means a lot of probable coastal settlements are now underwater, and this makes the investigation difficult. So these three information. The sites that were located along the water have been revealed due to the current state of sea levels. This is the opposite, right? Because the sea levels are higher today, they all sunk, so you can't see it. It is hard to discover the many sites that once were established along the coast because they are currently underwater. This is likely, right? This is very likely. C. Due to rising water levels, any sites formerly located alongside the water are now under it, so they are difficult to investigate. This C has all the three information that I have mentioned in that passage, in that sentence. So, because the sea levels are higher today, the possible locations where they lived are now underwater, and this makes the investigation difficult. So C is a better answer than B. B doesn't have which information? Due to rising water levels. Sea levels are higher today now. This doesn't have that information in it, right? But it has, it's hard to discover that were once established along the coast because they are underwater. So they have, this one has two information but not all three. So C is better. The changing temperature caused sea levels to rise, so it's harder to find and excavate any coastal sites. This is not the passage didn't mention changing of temperature, so this is not the answer. The answer is C.